Wrapping up some of the tape on Notre Dame, it was a burn the tape second half, but in the words of Charles Barkley, we are going to start a dialogue.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Wolfpack, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's Tuesday episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Tuesday. Of course, kind of starting to put a bow on things in terms of this Notre Dame game this past weekend. Watching more of the tape, kind of sitting in some feelings a little bit longer. You know, some of the conclusions are starting to roll out a little bit clearer. Things to clean up, things to tighten up into this next week against VMI. Some things to improve upon, some things to leave behind. But this first conversation we're going to have, it's probably the most hot button topic at the moment in the land of NC State football. We're going to take the bait a little bit, and we're going to open a conversation here. A lot of NC State fans, as you may have seen, have been clamoring for MJ Morris to take over at QB1. And I'll start with this. Some of the play that we have seen from Brennan Armstrong, it's getting hard to defend against that idea. I think, and Kenton, you actually tweeted this during the Notre Dame game. You know, it's hard not to jump and just say, okay, we're ready for the next guy. But there's been several points here where the offense has needed a shot in the arm, and that shot in the arm could be MJ Morris.
I disagree. Upon watching the tape again, it's not hard. Brennan Armstrong is either not the guy, or if MJ is worse than that, then we are in a dire quarterback situation. People are blaming Brennan Armstrong for not finding the guy in the end zone on that long scramble where there were multiple linemen down the field anyway. I'm not blaming you for that. I'm not blaming you for not being a magician. That I cannot, nor will I blame you for. I won't blame you for the interception that bounced off KC's hands. I'm not going to blame you for that. However, I will blame you for the fact that you threw two more interceptable balls that just didn't get picked off. My brother in Christ, if that defender did not have hands of stone, you would have thrown 4 interceptions. You threw to a double cover flat. Again, what are you thinking? What are you looking at? What are you looking at? Because when I watch film on quarterbacks, I'll always look at where their helmet is because that tells me where their eyes are. If I know where their eyes are, then generally I know what they're reading or what their process is on the play. His read on that play was, what is the corner doing? If the corner sits in the flat, you need to hold on to the ball and wait for the route to develop behind it. If the corner was to go with the route that was the clear out, then you hit that quick out. The corner did a decent job, not a world-beating crazy job of disguising it. It did a decent job of disguising the coverage there, but you still threw into it to where even if that corner wasn't there, the guy in the slot was playing so far outside it didn't matter. That pass made no sense. The third interception, that's all on you. That's all on you. The interception that when you were trying to loft it to Lassane, that's all on you. You underthrew that ball. Why are you throwing 50-50 to a 5'11 guy? And you made that same pass later on the money. It's not a conversation for me. I won't live with a 6-year guy regularly throwing into double coverage for no reason. You are in year 6. You are in year 6. And as the great poet and philosopher Sean Carter once said, you can try to change, but that's just the top layer. Homie, you was who you was when you got here. And that's what we're looking at with Brennan Armstrong. He is who he is when he got here. And I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to give the QB1 conversation to you, Grace.
I'll begin by saying this. I think going into week 3, it should still be Brennan Armstrong. But that being said, he has got to play better. He has got to play. He didn't get all the help in the world because we had some pretty brutal drops, some of which coming on third down that would have been very crucial. But some of the throws, regardless, were overthrown, underthrown, misthrown, not standing in the pocket long enough to see something develop. I think at times kind of over anticipating. There's been maybe some questionable footwork. I think he's thrown a lot of things off balance. I didn't think we'd see this from Brennan Armstrong, especially not in year 6. And, much of the conversation coming into this year was, what kind of Brennan Armstrong are we going to see here in an NC State uniform? Because 2021 and 2022 was 2 different quarterbacks. Now,
very much so.
I think it is still too early to tell. There's been some bad, little bit of good. I think it's still too early to tell. And maybe kind of a weak point here, but Notre Dame is one of the better defenses that we will likely see all year. Now, not to say that he didn't play poorly anyway, but I do think you're going to see a lot of improvement here moving forward. At least you hope so. Starting with this week against VMI. It's very much a get-right game, not just for Brennan, but the entire offensive unit, the line, the running backs, the wide receiving core, everybody. It's a big opportunity to create meaningful reps. The gel between the offensive unit, haven't really seen it a whole lot. And a lot of that is going to fall on Brennan's shoulders, understandably so. But long story short, I still think it's too early to pull the plug. It's still too early to get out the pitchforks and demand a change be made. But I'll say this also, we're not that far off from that being the situation either. I know they're trying to preserve MJ's red shirt. I get that. How much longer can you wait? I guess that is the $1 million question. How much longer can you wait and risk potential quarterback play costing you a game? I don't think Brennan cost us the game against Notre Dame. I do think Brennan will improve. I do think the offense as a unit will improve, but it's something to keep an eye on because you have a guy like MJ Morris, a lot of potential there, a lot of talent there. I think MJ would probably run into some of the same issues that Brennan has. A lot of that falls on pass protection, which was better against Notre Dame. I feel like you got to give credit there, but I don't know if it would be a complete reversal of fortune.
You are in year 6, and if you are not producing to a year 6 level, like for me, it's not about is MJ head and shoulders above him. That's not what it's about to me. To me, it's about, will MJ be comparable? Will MJ be basically the same thing or better? If I'm looking at MJ saying, he could do this, he could do this, I'm putting him in. I'm always going to go with the younger guy over the older guy because the younger guy, especially in this case, has a higher ceiling.
We're going to touch more on the situations involving some of these younger players in a new segment after a quick word from our sponsors. Today's first sponsor is Gametime. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and the best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over tickets and start getting hyped for the fun that you'll have. Gametime is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, you name it, they got it. The Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. So, download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account, use redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off, and download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, now this next segment, we're introducing a new segment here. This one should get interesting. It's called Whole Lotta Nothing or Whole Lotta Something, okay? So we got a couple topics here. I'll read them off, and then Kent and I will discuss on whether we think it's a big-time issue for this Wolfpack football team or something we'll see get resolved here in the coming weeks. So our first topic here, Whole Lotta Nothing or Whole Lotta Something, Kenton. Giving up gashing running plays by this defense.
Whole lot of something. I think it's a whole lot of something because again, it speaks to a bigger problem than just there are certain things that talk to something more important than a minor thing. And in the first game, we saw a missed assignment. Everybody was aligned where they had to be. Davin Van didn't get in the B gap, missed assignment. In this game, we see a misalignment where guys are not knowing where they need to be at the snap, somehow out of a break, not knowing where they need to be darn near at the snap. And then all of a sudden, we're already in a behind and trailing position from that. And then when we run the play, guys do not get to where they need to be immediately. That's a whole lot of something, because this defense is supposed to be a strength of this team, and the inability to secure the ability to play gap disciplined defense is one thing. But I'm hearing all about this speed. We got speed everywhere. We can't run down backs in the open field. What's it for? What is the speed for? So a whole lot of something, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll say this. Of course, you're referring to the 80-yard touchdown by Estime. I will give a little bit of credit to Notre Dame here. I thought that they schemed that particular play to perfection. I think it was Joe Alt that pulled across and basically wiped Devon Betty out of the play at the line of scrimmage. Peyton Wilson got eaten up on a block, and then you saw a gashing hole there for Estime to bolt through. And then after that, Poogie Kennedy and Devin Boykin just kind of overran it just enough to the inside that it was completely off to the races for Estime. So, I mean, I thought they schemed it perfectly, but it almost speaks to a little bit of that speed, Kenton. I thought we just overran. It probably does point to some misalignment. And
that's what I mean. You're starting from a bad position and you're having to overrun it because you're not confident in, I'm where I'm supposed to be, and this play is coming to me because this is where it's supposed to be. And now you're thinking, I got to pursue to the inside. Yeah. That's not your gap, brother. That's not where you need to be. That's not when a pulling guard or pulling tackle, when anybody pulls, anybody, including a tight end on a rock back or anything like that, they have just added an additional gap.
Yeah.
You have to know where you fit in that.
I think that's also frustrating too, because I guess up until that point and, the rest of the game until his second touchdown run, I thought we did a very good job on Estime. It was, it was kind of expected that he'd come out and bruise us to death and eventually wear us down to where he could just run all over the field.
Right.
If you take out that 80-yard run, it wasn't really a fantastic day. I mean, he did have another touchdown. The numbers look pretty good, but I thought we did a fairly good job containing him. So, as when it comes to gashing running plays, we had, one in each of these two games. So until that is corrected, I'm going to lean a whole lot of something. Now, this next one here, whole lot of nothing or a whole lot of something. Brennan Armstrong being the leading rusher through two games.
Whole lot of something. Whole lot of something for a multitude of reasons. Our backs are not producing at all. I went back and watched the film from game 1 and game 2, and I said, wait a minute. Delbert Mims is a short yardage back that's not great at pushing the pile. If he runs into a hole and it's congested, I am not certain. I don't have a good amount of confidence he's going to lean forward and get those 2 yards. He's going, we'll be okay. The hole has to be there in some capacity for him to kind of do something with it. And guess what? If you need the hole to move the pile or to get yardage, you're not a power back. You're just say it with me, friends, running back.
Yeah.
You're just a back. That's all. So start there. Second thing, Jordan Houston, he's still one step away, which at this point in time, you've got no more eligibility left, brother. This is it. We've seen it for years. It's a lot like how, Devin Carter got me. He got me. He had me every year. I was saying, this is his year. He's going to break out. This is his year. It's going to be different. He's got all the tools. He's going to break out. Jordan Houston, fooled me once, can't get fooled again, okay? I'm not going for it. At this point, we know who he is. And so what does that leave us with in the backfield? Kendrick Raphael, apparently.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, this conversation really started at the UConn game when Brennan had to run for his life. He was our leading rusher in that game as well. And we said it wasn't sustainable. Well, after game 2, it's still not sustainable because we cannot do anything on the ground. And like we mentioned in yesterday's episode, that's going to begin to make us look extremely one-dimensional. And that one dimension hasn't been doing very well either. So we have got to find a way. I mean, to be blunt about it, we got to find a way to get the ball into Michael Allen's hands. And you've heard the two of us rant about this here for a couple weeks now. Michael Allen is the best running back we have on this roster, point blank, period. And he needs to be featured as such. With all respect to Jordan Houston, I'm not saying this out of any negativity. I don't know how much longer we can trot him out there and give him the bulk of carries and expect a different result. It's the definition of insanity. Because Ken, you mentioned he remains just 1 or 2 steps away from breaking off that long run, but it's not happening. It still hasn't happened. Maybe we'll see it this week against VMI because it's a weaker defense, but until we see something there, I'm all in on Michael Allen and will continue to be moving forward. So yes, until we see a change here, this is a whole lot of something. It's not sustainable to have Brennan leading us on the ground as well. We have got to be able to generate something else, and hopefully that is going to be coming from Michael Allen sooner than later. And then last topic here, whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something. Freshmen and transfers leading the receiving effort thus far through 2 games.
Yeah. I am deeply worried. I'll say this one though is, of the 3 things, it's a whole lot of nothing for the fact that
I agree.
Our wide receiving core, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise. When wide receiver was when that position group, wide receiver and tight ends, were a bit of a question mark coming in, I mean, why are we surprised that Rosner and KC and guys like Juice Vereen have emerged? By the way, Juice Vereen's a dude. We need to get him the ball more. That is a bad man there. You know what I mean? And if we could bring the ball down a little bit, because overthrowing a 6'4" frame that can jump a little bit is kind of insane. But, he did have that one drop where he went up forward and it hit both of his hands. So I'm not going to give Brennan Armstrong hell for that one. But with that being said, this ain't really a whole lot of anything. I mean, the stats kind of work out in this way, and we figured it'd work out this way based upon the way that the roster looked. I'm surprised that Julian Gray hasn't played a bigger role so far yet. You can see the quick twitch. You can see the athleticism when he has the ball in his hand. So the fact that we haven't tried to find more creative ways to get the ball in his hand, a little concerning, but whole lot of nothing here.
Yeah, I'll agree. For now, it's a whole lot of nothing. That being said, I need to see more from some of these leaders. Porter Rooks had a couple costly drops in this Notre Dame game. I believe Timmons might have had one. I think Rosner had one. The drops is certainly a concern, but that seems to be across the board, not so much just an upperclassman thing. We have been pretty impressed. KC had a very costly one against Notre Dame.
Extremely costly. Extremely.
We've been fairly impressed with KC. I guess if you cut that one costly drop out of there,
even including that drop, I'm impressed. He's a freshman. He's
proven that he deserves to be on the field as just a freshman. Juice Vereen is another one. I mean, I don't know how you keep him off the field moving forward, because he was gashing through Notre Dame seemingly at will.
That boy is TE1. Yes. That is TE1.
Yes.
Don't ask me no questions about that. Is TE1, and that's all there is to it.
But something else I've seen kind of floating around, and something I agree with, I think we've seen shockingly little from both Chris Tootle and Trent Penix. And I don't know if that's through scheming or just, I don't know what that is, but you would have thought at this point, you've seen a whole lot more of them here. I think the 2 of them maybe have 2 catches apiece. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think that's about right. That's shocking to me.
Especially based on the way that Anai used Jelani Woods when he was at UVA.
Yeah.
Especially the way he used Arondé Gaston up at Syracuse. Now, I'm not saying that either one of those guys are either one of the 2 that I just mentioned, but it's a little shocking. It's a little surprising.
Especially because, much of the offseason, we heard that Trent Penix is going to be a key piece in this new offense in Anai.
Absolutely.
Where's he at?
Absolutely.
Where's he been?
Well, apparently the key is missing. The key is missing, and we need to channel our inner DJ Khaled, because somebody need to find the keys. That's a major key.
We got to go cut a new one, I guess.
I guess. So that's just what I'm looking at.
So that's our segment. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something. Of course, we'll probably continue this throughout the years, we see some important hot button things to touch on. But long story short here, we've got to see a lot of improvement going forward. This is a crucial week for improvement facing a team like VMI because, in the locker room, you kind of heard comments from Peyton Wilson. We're going to touch on some comments made by Coach Dorn here in just a second. But, I mean, it was a big-time reality check week. It was who wants to be here because that's who I want to be on the field with, that type of thing.
Absolutely.
And you have got to get that straight moving forward because it won't be long now before we start getting into these ACC games, and you cannot afford to be messing around in any of those. So,
absolutely.
Our second sponsor for today is FanDuel. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get up to $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off of NFL Sunday Ticket from both YouTube and YouTube TV. So, now's the best time to join FanDuel. The app is super easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. All right, so putting a bow here on our Tuesday episode, kind of some somber news out of Dave Dorn's press conference on Monday morning. Starting free safety, Jakeem Harris has been lost for the season. He tore a pectoral muscle up at UConn in week 1. That's a big-time loss for the NC State secondary. I feel horrible for Jakeem. Losing the rest of your season so early in the year is tough, and especially when he was expected to be such a big part of it, something you never want to see. But I guess if there is any silver lining here, this is one of the groups that you feel most confident in the depth. I think the safeties have a lot of depth here. Coach Dorn also mentioned that Rakeem Ashford will be returning to the lineup here, but hopefully in week 3. That scary injury up at UConn in week 1. But our thoughts and prayers with Jakeem Harris moving forward. Of course, it's going to be tough on him the rest of the year to see his guys out there, and he won't be able to. I believe he does still have a year of eligibility if he so chooses to exercise it. But wishing the best for Jakeem in recovery, and hope to see him sooner than later.
Agreed, 100%. We're sending all the positive energy and love and prayers to that young man because that is, you never want to miss an entire year. I've been there, done that. It's not fun. So,
yeah. And then wrapping up some of these comments that Coach Dorn was talking about Notre Dame, just kind of the basics, just saying, we didn't play complimentary football. The discipline downfield as the game waged on, it hurt us. There's going to be a big emphasis in practice correcting these things, especially this week against VMI. And we have got to get these things right continually on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I agree. I think that VMI is not a game that's about to score. It's about, do you do things the right way?
Correct.
And so we'll see.
Absolutely. That will do it for us here on Tuesday's episode. As always, thank you so much for tuning in with us. Make sure you mash that like button, drop your comments in the comment box. We'll always get to all of those, and continue to hit the subscribe button as well. We're seeing that number continue to climb. We very much appreciate all the support there. We will see you all tomorrow. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.